How you doing? I wanted to do this video because I'm getting ready to start some pre-season testing on our battery bank and some new equipment before we actually go to the shack so that we can get all this operating correctly and make sure everything works right. Now I'm going to show you what I'm doing here. This is our brand new inverter for the shack. Now, this particular one is one of the lower output ones. For the past 20 years, I've used a Black & Decker. I think it's a Black & Decker. It's red anyways. A Black & Decker 600 watt inverter at the shack. 15 years. It's never missed a beat. I blew a fuse in it one time, had to open it up, replace the fuse. Not a problem. The only thing that I don't like about it is not only, well, several things I don't like about it. First of all, it's modified sine wave. So it's not really like your house electricity. It puts out 120 volts or thereabouts, and it's more of a square wave than a sine wave. So it goes up like this and goes down like that. It makes like a sawtooth pattern in its output, whereas a sine wave goes up and down like this. What comes out of your wall at home from the electric company is what's called sine wave. Most of your AC equipment, your microwaves, your refrigerators, your freezers, televisions, everything else is all designed to take the sine wave produced electricity that your local utility sends you. So they make pure sine wave, regular sine wave inverters that have traditionally been a lot more expensive for the same amount of output power. Well, I wanted to replace our 600 watt inverter with another 600 watt inverter. Never even come close to using the capacity. All of our lights are LEDs. The only thing that we run off the inverter is lights, a fan, and some USB chargers, and that's about it. So this is the one that I bought. This is made by a Chinese company with only the best stolen American design parts. Right here, you can see it's a 600 watt pure sine wave inverter. It has to be because it says so right on it. This is what the front panel looks like. As you can see, it has two different displays. It has two outlets right here, your power switch and some indicator lights. The one thing I've learned with the Black & Decker inverter is that it draws power even when it's off. When you connect the Black & Decker, or actually probably pretty much any inverter, to your battery bank, you're going to see a big old spark when that wire first touches. It's like all the stuff in your car that's running even though the car is shut off, it's draining the battery. So what I've done over the years is I have created an additional power wire with a switch on it to turn the power on and off. That way you don't have to disconnect the inverter. You just flip the switch, the inverter shuts off, you're good to go. So in order to connect the inverter with the connector that I made right here in the best possible way, I have a bunch of these things. See, this clamps over the post terminal on the battery, and then these are little brass connectors with some Allen screws in there, and you just tighten it up on the piece of wire. There's also another little pig wire on here where you can put something in there and crimp it. So this is designed for automotive use. These things are great. They don't corrode. They're not like your regular battery terminals where you constantly have problems with them. You can't get them to be tight enough. This has got a very good design. It gets nice and tight on there, and there's no possible way that it's going to be loose. So I'm going to hook up the inverter to the batteries right now, and we're going to start some initial testing. Alrighty, here we go. I've got everything hooked up. The negative cable from the inverter is hooked up to the negative side of the battery bank. The battery bank, by the way, is connected in series because these are two 6-volt deep cycle batteries, 215 amp hours. and I've got them connected in serial to equal 12 volts. So you're going connecting your one positive to the negative on the other battery, and that adds up the amount of volts. You can see I've got the switch right here hooked up to the little connector I just showed you. So you can just put that over the top to protect it so it doesn't short against anything. And I've got the connector connected up to the positive battery post. So negative, positive, and then the batteries are strapped together for 12 volts. So let's go ahead and get this camera down low enough so that we can see the display on the inverter. Plus, you'll be able to see it a lot better when it bursts into flames the first time I start it. So, power on. There we go. Power's on. Turn the switch on. And there we go. This is the voltage of the battery bank. Blue means you're ready to go. And I don't know what the hell that means. It's 122, whatever it is. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take... What am I going to take? I'm going to take... Let's try this. I'm going to take my LED trouble light, plug it in this bad boy, just like that, and turn it on. Okay, the trouble light's on, and now it says 123. Still at 12.6 volts though, which is essentially 100% charge. So there we go. That's that right there. I'm going to leave this running for a while and go back and look over the manual and see if I can figure out exactly what that 123 means. Alrighty, it's been about 5 minutes. I have checked the manual. This is the voltage that's coming out of the outlet. That's what that is, 124 volts right now. Probably raising it up a little bit because it's on somewhat of a load. This particular LED light that I'm running takes 120 microamps or milliamps. So not a lot of power. Like I said, we run LED lights at the shack. Same make, same model as what we see here. You can see the battery voltage is now down to 12.5. What I'm going to be doing here is I'm going to be running this, leaving this go with this setup, with it hooked up to the battery bank. That was at a full charge, 12.67 volts I believe it was, and with that fluorescent light, that LED light. Because this is one of the easiest ways to test the output of your off-grid system. You get it into a static place where you can control the circumstances, connect a known load to it, in this case the LED light, and let her go ahead and run overnight and find out how much of the capacity of the battery bank running your load, in this case an LED light, over a period of, let's say, 12 hours. Because right now it is 7:30. So we're going to go ahead and run this till about 7:30 tomorrow morning and see what the readout is on here. This is a handy way to keep track of the charge, because that way you don't have to get out your voltmeter. More accurate if you use a hydrometer that measures a specific gravity of the fluid, but that's a pain in the butt too. And while I'm pissing and moaning here, I got one more thing to piss and moan about. It's this display. This is an LED display. It's not an LCD. This takes up about twice as much power as an LCD display uses up. So I don't know what they were thinking over there in China with their stolen American technology. that they decided to use LED displays. Maybe they're a low power draw, but I don't know. I think I would have gone with an LCD display. I don't know if it's worth clipping the power leads to the displays or not. I don't think it is, but we'll see how it goes. There you go. That's the new inverter, 600 watt pure sine wave, and our battery bank. See ya.